Over a decade ago, real life started for me. And by real life, I mean, I came to the realization that life after school is not a joke. Adulthood, as it were, is a very difficult, lifestyle, to be very honest. And, getting into the university fresh then, it was a very good place for me to sort of realize quickly that this particular stage I'm in has a lot of ups and downs. But what is coming after is a lot more difficult. And you agree with me that we live in this day and age where a lot of things have gone terribly wrong and a lot of things are going too fast for the normal person to catch up. And no one trained us to become adults. No one trained us to become people that sort of, took responsibility for their life. And for 18 to 20 years of your life, everything was basically done for you. And now, within the space of 3 months, you transition from a place where everything was being done for you to a place where you're not taking full responsibility of your life. It's a very weird place to be in. But then I want to let you know that it is actually possible to simplify this process for yourself, live a more creative life even in the midst of these things, and also earn or build a legacy for yourself and also earn from it. And I want to explain I want to explain some of these things to you in this video. It will really be something that will be, as deep as you think it is. But then there are just 5 things I've practiced over the past 10 years, but actively over the past 5 years since I left uni, that has really made me understand better how to navigate this adulthood life. And to some extent, they say adulthood is a scam, but I really don't think so. So 5 things I feel many of us need to know when it comes to simplifying your life, becoming more creative, and making more money. Now, leaving the university 5 years ago, I was untested, and honestly, I was naive, right? I spent the next 3 years of my life trying to build up something from nothing. I started a podcast. I wanted to invest more in my design business, understood the business of design, and a few other things. Started to build a community on social media. But even as I was doing all these things, some things were still not clear to me. I still didn't have some things figured out. And up until now, as I'm speaking to you, I still don't have things figured out. But then there are a few things that have, sort of made this step easier for me, right? I've talked about simplifying your life to several different persons. I've talked about how to navigate this adulthood life, how to have work-life balance, and a few other things. And I want to tell you with all the boldness in my heart right now that it is possible to actually have an idea of where you're going to and, still be able to navigate a proper path. Now, the first step I think will really help you to navigate this path without feeling overwhelmed and intimidated is to learn how to minimize. Chances are that if you're human, you're doing way too much for yourself right now. You probably have a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat account, and even maybe more. With the rise of TikTok, a lot of us are doing so many things. And you may not realize it, but you find yourself wishing that you have started a business, that you have your dream job, or that you make certain amount of money, over the period of years. There are expectations and responsibilities all over the place. And still, you suffer from things like no obligation, no responsibility, and the worst of it all, you lack time. Honestly, I am with you on this. I've experienced this and I'm still experiencing it. But the glory to all this is that when you find time to sort of understand all these things that are happening around you, so many activities running around you right now, finding a way to minimize them or to cut them short would be the first step to achieving this so-called success that everybody's chasing. And unfortunately for us as humans, this doesn't get easier as we grow older and add families, or you have children, or you start taking more responsibilities in your end. But I think it is time now for us to actually learn how to trim the fat. In my early 20s, I found myself devoured by my business as a designer. I was trying to start up a business, create a startup all by myself, build an online community, host a podcast, and still live my day-to-day life, still have my personal life issues, and so many things in between. And it was a very tedious process. My assumption that making my own hours would instantly give me the flexibility to do my own thing at my own pace would be really amazing, until I found out that I actually needed to find a solution to this problem. So what did I do? I took a 9-to-5 position. 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 I took a 9-to-5 position at an architectural firm. Now, while it might sound counterintuitive that I'm trying to build a life where I'm much more comfortable and I can control my time, I decided to work for a 9 to 5. I realized quickly that the discipline that comes with the 9 to 5 would actually help you to cut away a lot of excesses. Now you know that you're focusing just on one thing, the job at the moment. And eventually, when I started working with this 9 to 5, it allowed me to sort of focus more on the 9 to 5. But at the same time, I was saving up for this design business or this lifestyle I'm living right now, and that was really effective because I was able to trim down on all these so-called responsibilities. Took up something I knew had a direct path. To some extent, 9 to 5 has a level of job security, so I knew that I wasn't going to get fired or constant paycheck would be coming in, and that was really helpful for me. Now, while this may not be the perfect first step for everyone, I believe minimalism is key. And I've been practicing this for a few years now, and I can tell you that you can challenge yourself to examine what you do on a daily basis and for each activity. So you need to ask yourself a few questions like, do I actually enjoy doing this activity? Or what would happen if I stopped doing this? Understanding the consequences of what you do, the worst case scenario, or quote unquote, what's the worst that could happen, would actually give you the leverage as to understand more about yourself, the things that you really care about, and give you a better vision and clarity on how to simplify your life. So if you constantly worry about how life is going to turn out for you in the future, I feel this step is one that applies to many of us. Also, it applies to people because many of us have relationships that are unbalanced, that don't favor us and don't make life easy for us. I feel you need to actually spend time looking within your circle to understand how you can reduce things that really doesn't align with your creative energy, cut them off, and see how better your life will become. I did this. It was a very difficult process, but eventually the benefits, I'm enjoying them right now. Now, step number 2, automate. For some millennials, remember when debit cards were not really a thing in Nigeria, and you had to enter the bank to collect money, and you are carrying cash all around. And it took a while for that particular process to become automated. And the moment it became automated, right from the comfort of your bedroom, you could make transactions, you could do a lot of things, all because there was automation. What if you could apply this same strategy to your life? I started automating things when I realized quickly that having a pattern or a system is effective for growth in any area of your life. As these systems began to develop, I would ask myself one simple question: does automating these tasks make it too impersonal? If the answer was no, I would set the system in place. Through the years, I've done this for my finances, 90% of my email, my processes for monitoring the return on investment for my clients and the job I do, and numerous content marketing techniques that I've applied to my life. Now, the result of automating allowed me to spend more time with my family and friends, allowed me to invest more time in my side also, which is being a designer. And within the space of 6 months, I was able to quit my 9 to 5 and focus more on this creative lifestyle, full time. And automation is one of the main ways that made that happen, because without automating, without making systems that run by themselves after the first touch, this made it very easy for me to be able to, control a lot of things even without being there physically. It made me have more time to even do things that I'm genuinely interested in, and this gave rise to a more creative life. Now, there are a few books that would really help you understand how to automate, and one of the most important ones I can tell you right now is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is one book that changed my life. If you spend more time focusing on the things that bring value to your life, and you automate the ones that are secondary, your priorities, you handle them, the important but not all that urgent, you sort of delegate them, then you would give yourself enough time to be able to focus more on the most important things and live a much more creative life. And that leads me to the third step, which is to delegate. Now, while the term independent in the creative industry generally refers to running your own career, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do everything alone. This is one part of the puzzle that I find many creatives miss. Now, the beauty of being an independent creative is that you suddenly become the CEO or the boss of your own career, and it is your responsibility to build a team under you. If you don't do this, everything would fail. So, don't be fooled by the title. The title is just something that we all need to brush away. But understand this clearly, that becoming an independent creative, wanting to simplify your life, puts you in a position of you controlling your own affairs and that of those that would eventually come and work with you. Remember that we're talking about how to simplify your life, how to be more creative, and eventually make more money. So discipline is very key, and that is what really makes more sense now, because now you have to delegate these things. You don't have to do everything yourself. You don't have to carry the world on your head as though you are the only person who knows how to do these things. Learn to delegate, and this will make your life a lot easier. Now, while delegating might be a very beautiful thing to understand, after minimizing your life to the barest minimum, where you work and still you have time for family and friends, you have time for things you care about, it's also important to know that you need to find the right people that you can trust abilities onto. I was able to do more of my creative work and double my output within the space of 1 year by making sure that I had other persons who could assist me in cases where things might be too difficult. I'm talking about doubling my creative output. I was able to move from a system where I was creating content of about 500 within a year to moving to a point where I was creating 1,800 within a year. And that happened within a very short period of time, but through consistent practice and understanding the things I've done in the past, and most importantly, delegating. And this leads me to the fourth step, which is to prioritize. Now, the key is not to prioritize your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. If you've read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, you would understand perfectly what priority means. So I recommend the book to you right now. You can read the book to have a better understanding of how to prioritize things. Our society has ingrained in us the busy is better lifestyle, that multitasking is a necessity, and that Facebook deserves your content and attention, just like TikTok has become the new big thing. But I'm telling you that it doesn't. What does deserve your attention more is to be goal-driven and well-driven by priorities. If you've already conditioned your lifestyle to that of those who are telling you that also grind and do all sort of things, I want to tell you now that prioritizing things would make things a whole lot easier. It sort of carries the entire process, shortens it by 50%, and makes life completely simple. Now, it might seem far-fetched talking about it this way, but I want to make you realize something right now, that the best of the best things you can do for yourself is to create a system where you understand your priorities, you understand what is urgent, you understand what is important, and you understand the things that are necessary. Something that is urgent might not necessarily be important. Something that is important might not necessarily be necessary. But then when you find something that is important and urgent at the same time, then that goes to the top of your list. When you realize something that is important and necessary, it can come secondary or maybe tertiary. But then when you find something that is necessary but not really important, not really urgent, you can let it slide for later or delegate these things. On your screen right now, you'd see a particular diagram that sort of explains the delegation, doing and leaving for later, because I use this particular system for myself and it worked like magic. Now, the last step is to create and engage. As much as possible, talking about these things is beautiful. Having a system in mind is amazing, but then you need to actually take the bold step to start something, create, and eventually engage with whatever results you get out of these things. As an artist or content creator, this is what would actually make or break you in the end. If you really need to put yourself in a position where you need to create things for yourself, then you need to spend more time creating than consuming. That is why I actually said at the beginning that focus more on creating and then engage on the results that you get. Now, as I bring this video to an end, I want you to actually take this to heart, that you need to spend more time developing and mastering your skills or your talent to be able to create more materials or content. Because this would, on the long run, help you establish yourself as, quote unquote, an authority in whatever it is you do. But aside the authority, it gives you peace of mind knowing that there is something you are good and exceptionally amazing at. And this keeps you in a check where you realize quickly that I've spent hours, I've spent months, I've spent years trying to do this thing, and I ultimately believe that it's going to be a success. So don't be deceived. You can actually simplify your life, get more creative, and eventually earn more money. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you on the next one.